Hey everyone, Rick Becker here, chairman of End Unfair Property Tax. We've got the ballot measure number 4. You'll have a chance to vote in November if you want to get rid of property tax as we know it, if you want a huge amount of tax relief, all while saving local control 100%. We are refuting today Dr. Aimee Copas. She is the executive director for the North Dakota Council of Educational Leaders. She's got a white paper out. Now, white paper usually means there's something academic about it, that there's good supporting stuff and it's well-researched. Nothing like that has happened with this white paper. It's just fear-mongering. All right, now we're going to talk about what she is using as her fear campaign. But first, I want to bring up our measure. It's important to know what our measure says before we talk about what Aimee is saying. Now, first off, this is the title. This is what you're going to see on the ballot, and it's long and it's complicated and it's confusing. I didn't make it that way. The powers that be made it that way, unfortunately. The gist of it is right here. This section 1 right here, pretty much that's 99% of it. But for Aimee's purpose, what we're going to talk about here is where it says, number 3, the state shall provide annual property tax revenue replacement payments to political subdivisions in an amount equal to no less than the amount of tax levied on real property by the political subdivisions, excluding what they did for bonded indebtedness. We can talk about that too, but in the year that this was voted on, approved by the voters. Okay, what it's saying then is the state must replace everything that the cities, the counties, the school districts, the townships, every dollar that they were getting in 2025, which was levied in 2024, the year of this ballot measure, they must replace that dollar for dollar. No questions asked, no strings attached, no state control. They're just replacing that. And then what the locals need to do beyond that is up to them. It's in their control. It's not in the state's control. Okay, keep in mind, every dollar of property tax is replaced. We're getting rid of the mechanism of property tax. We're not getting rid of the funding of property tax. All right, now let's go ahead and look at Aimee's letter. So she's got this white paper, and here we go. The white paper is like this. I've got a lot here. Let's start at the top. Introduction. The proposed constitutional amendment in North Dakota aimed at prohibiting property taxes poses a significant threat to the foundational structures of public education. And boy, there's so much here. But the impact on school funding. This is the biggie here, folks. The prohibition of property taxes would result in a potential reduction of $617 million in annual funding for K-12 education in North Dakota. $617 million is the amount of educational funding that they get from property taxes right at this amount. That must be replaced by the state, dollar for dollar. There is no loss, and Aimee knows this. Aimee knows this. That's why she says potential reduction, okay? This loss represents a substantial portion of the educational budget, threatening the financial stability of schools and potentially leading to cuts in educational programs, staffs, and infrastructure maintenance. There's the fear-mongering. She's not explaining why is there loss of funding, because the Constitution will say that there is no loss of funding. Every dollar must be replaced. But it could happen. And if that happened somehow, there could be staff cuts. There could be cuts in programs. There could be loss of maintenance. So in other words, be afraid of losing your job, be afraid of terrible education, be afraid of small schools closing. That's what she's telling people based on the single lie that they could lose up to $617 million in funding they're currently getting from property taxes, even though they know that they will get $617 million from the state with no strings attached. You might call it intentionally misleading her target audience to try and get them to vote the way she wants. I call it lying, people. I don't know what you call it. There's a lot more in here, but I want to keep the video short. She says the amendment would shift the responsibility to the state government, not future. That's still local. This is just a block grant, and nobody complained over these past years that the state was paying K-12 education to the amount of 25% of the total cost. Then they bumped it to 50%. Then they bumped it to 70%. Now the state's already paying for 80%. So we're going to make this extra bump. Nothing changes. Nothing changes like that at all. And then here's the last thing. She says, this is the impact of constitutionally eliminating the property taxes. And here we have all of these things, all of these fear-mongering things. And in yellow, these statements then have a word, which I have highlighted in red, because they're what ifs. Hey, this could happen. You could lose your job. Your school could close. Could, likely, could, might. This is all people. It's a complete campaign of fear. There is no respect for the voter. I hope that you recognize that. There is no loss in funding. Yes, we're getting rid of property taxes, but we're not getting rid of the funding. And I don't know. They're relying on you to not understand that. They're using that. They're leveraging it. They're spouting lies. And they're going to every single school that they can to try and convert people to no votes, to vote against their own best interest of keeping that money in your pocket. I hope you don't fall for it. I hope you know better. We'll talk soon.